We're live.
You're live.
All right.
We're live.
It's fine. Everybody,
other
I mean, nobody watched that first part anyway. Okay.
I feel like
Well,
that person does.
welcome to another meeting of the Tulsa City Council this week. This is a special meeting, as everybody knows. So I call the meeting to order, and we're going to move into item number 2. Before we do, I think just some ground rules, given that we have a lot of stuff to cover today. We have a lot of presentations from working groups and from city departments. Let's see if we can, and this is to me first, and then everybody else, let's see if we can let them get through their comments, and then.
He says
we'll
that
go.
looking at me and you.
I didn't look at Counselor Bell.
I've never interrupted someone in my entire life.
That's why I told you, use your disclaimer.
It's cultural. It was,
Slow it down for
It is.
replay later.
we,
All right.
Overlapping topics.
that's right.
We'll start with item 2. Sarah, Council Administrator, the floor is yours.
Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
So, like Councilor Lakin said, our agenda is on the schedule. It's also in the first page of your binder. For the public watching, all of the materials are loaded online, so when we refer to things in the binder, it should be online as well. Schedule is very important. It's in a page protector to signal its importance. And so the first thing, just to frame this meeting a little bit, every year the mayor and the city council, and this year the auditor, have a retreat to establish their operating budget priorities. After that retreat, we try to get a consensus around those things that we are going to really focus on. If you remember this year, we had a focus of living within our means, finishing things that we started. And so in the front pocket of your binder is the action plan that is developed after the mayor council retreat. And so going through, I'm just going to go through some highlights from the action plan. It is very long, and you have had some recent presentations on that. And so I'm not going to go through some things that you've already had some recent presentations, but just to give a high-level overview, there were 4 themes and priorities that were developed. So homelessness, public safety, economic development, and children, youth, and families. The implementation plan, the things on the far left were kind of those, how are we going to do this, problem statements. But then the second column, that was developed with the help of the departments, the people that work in this space every day, to develop some action plans that were usually budgetary neutral, or we knew we had a funding source on these to carry out. And then a very, I think I told you this a couple weeks ago, very scientific method of red, yellow, green on whether these were completed or not, done by the arbitrariness of me and Marissa on what we thought was red, yellow, and green. So you're welcome to disagree with those things. So just to go over the first one, homelessness, there were implementing the 3H task force recommendations. The vast majority of 3H task force recommendations were complete at the time of the retreat, but we did have the outstanding residential care center. Throughout the year, that shifted to Safe Move Tulsa, and you've had several conversations about Safe Move recently. For housing infrastructure, that really focused on implementing the IOT3 housing funds. You all spent quite a bit of time in May and June doing some mini sessions on those housing funds, going through what an RFP could look like for a third-party administrator, talking about values and the economic incentive policy that will need to be adopted. You will see an initial discussion of that economic incentive policy next week on your council agendas. And so we will continue to have that. The contract for the third-party administrator is actively underway right now with Housing Partnership Network, and that should be completed in the near future. And then on winter shelter, you received an update as well last week on that item. You know that's going to launch in the next couple of weeks. And then on homelessness prevention, lots of items on that. The Mayor's Council on Eviction started, but also work started on that, quite a while ago. Councilor Bellis participated in the sprint and continues that work as well. So program's still actively being developed there. On the going down to public safety is a really broad category that, and you're going to hear some of the public safety updates today. That includes from fines and fees, animal welfare, and the pre-hospital update today. Some highlights though from that work is you continued to scale ART back in September. That launched to 7 days a week, and COPES was integrated into 911. That was a path to home recommendation and a FRAC, a First Responders Advisory Council implementation. So on that one, a couple of opportunities maybe to watch for under animals, and I don't know if they'll highlight this today, but they do have some legislation, draft legislation coming soon regarding animal dumping and puppy mills to help with that. There is potentially an action item you'll see on the plan with officer retention, maybe a look at a charter provision. I would personally need to explore that one more, but as you go through your charter work, that was highlighted as something to look at during this time. And then there's also an opportunity to really define what it means to be the safest big city in America. So that can mean a lot of different things, from pedestrian safety to safety of having housing, to crime safety. So you can really explore that one, but that's probably an opportunity for next year as well. Going back up to economic development, also have several reports later today in that category: the development process, Route 66 initiative, and tourism. You heard obviously on Wednesday a potential long-term initiative for tourism with the hotel motel tax. On housing infrastructure, the city's GIS team did work with Public Works and our housing personnel at the city to develop some maps around zoning, water, and sewer infrastructure need on those projects that submitted for the request for information for the housing projects. And then on children, youth, and family, most of those items, you had a report back in October on this. Most of their items were around establishing that group, the Children's Cabinet, as well as establishing the first-year work plan. You saw a report that both of those were complete. And then really quickly, just to highlight, in the budget process, there was about $2.5 million in revenue enhancing initiatives, but a lot of those required additional proposals to be brought forward. So those you see in tan on this screen are ones that have been completed. On the police and fire special event, remember the initial proposal on that was a higher fee, and it didn't have a graduated implementation. So when that ultimately passed, I don't think that first increase starts until January of this year, and then it goes up from there. There are 3 that have not been implemented yet. There was a parking potential increase. They decided on that one to wait till the parking study was finished. I've not seen the results of the parking study, but I think maybe they preliminarily came back, so that is something to watch for. We would have, last week we just ran, or this Wednesday, we just ran out of time, the motor vehicle accident claim. So you will see that on committee next week. And then the last one to the bottom that's not highlighted, the special event service fee, that one actually does not require council action. That is a contract issue with BOK. I don't believe that has been completed yet, but that is essentially surrounding police support when we have those like large scale events outside of the BOK, and the cost for that traffic control outside of the BOK. When we were in our budget process in June, there were 3 items that you all wanted to watch throughout the year. Some was just a monitor, some was looking for additional funding. So one item was public safety overtime. At the small budget committee on the 12th, we'll get an update on how we're doing on public safety overtime, and then we'll make sure to share that with the full council after that report. Counselor Bellis wanted us to identify and watch the state of mental health funding. Maybe we're in the same-ish place we were in June, maybe more unknown still on that one, but that could impact some of our programs. And then early settlement, there was a desire maybe to talk with surrounding communities on contributing to that program. And that is the very high-level overview of the mayor-council retreat and the year.
Following directions too.
Just on the early settlement, did we also recently have a conversation about possibly using those attorneys for some of the eviction work we're looking at, or did I dream that?
Oh, no, that's a possibility,
Okay.
as well. That obviously, anytime you increase a workload,
Sure.
would probably come with a funding request as well, so.
So on early settlement, do we have that slotted in for an agenda item anywhere?
We do not, and I'm not sure who has taken the lead on that.
I'd like to go
or-
ahead and just do it and start asking people to come to the table so that we can
Yeah.
understand. I talked
Maybe
to
the
somebody last
advocates
night
who
and
who
I talked to
advocated
somebody
for it.
during Mayor Randall's tour. I can't remember what the breakout is of how much comes from Tulsa County, how much comes from the city of Tulsa, what their total expenses are, and then how much we would need to raise from them, given that in the plan year, it's for half of what we allocated this year.
I would encourage, I know, like the folks that are currently using the program, but I think it would be good to have a civil legal access kind of expert overall. Like if we wanted to get either someone who runs like a civil legal clinic, or like Katie Dilks with Access to Justice, just because per Counselor Dr. Wright's point, maybe there's an opportunity to like broaden kind of the scope of what they address or the type of cases they come in on in those kinds of civil legal access
Get
proceedings.
a little more efficient with how
Yeah.
we spend the dollars.
Or it could happen, right, with some of the, like, helping people like with eviction mitigation or like, you know, things like that.
Yeah.
Could just become more robust,
I'm willing to
yeah.
write a letter to the other municipalities that
Yeah.
touch Tulsa, just asking them to chip in.
Mm-hmm.
We want to do this much, county's already doing this much, can you each do 2,500 or 5,000 bucks, whatever the number is.
And I think we
It's not a big
encouraged
number.
our commissioners to also have that conversation.
We did.
Yeah.
We're just gonna have to, I just don't want to have this conversation in May.
Right.
No.
It's better to have it now.
Yeah.
And I
Agree.
think, if I remember, Terry Simonson came and spoke to us, and then we had the Realtor community also explain to us like how that functions. So there's a broader,
Yeah.
service pool of how these services are used that informed our understanding. So
Yeah.
maybe we
Yeah.
use
Maybe
all that
other-
as we're talking to our
Yeah.
nearby communities.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there may be other donor prospects too.
Yep.
Yep. Okay,
Any other questions?
what else?
Public safety, meeting national standards, I heard what you said, like, there's a lot of ways we can define that, so, I guess just my question is, do we already know what national standards we're not meeting, or that we're striving to meet, or is this
So-
for us to kind of more broadly look at?
It seems like, to me, just based on that, we started talking around that a little bit, and how you left the retreat was, hey, there are standards in certain areas, that we can go look and try to meet. It's so broad and diverse of what they could be, and so it seems like you need to pick 3 to 5 or something like that. Laurel sent me an initial link, that was lots of broad, different categories, and so I think you kind of have to think, what have you heard from citizens? What do you want to look at, or these are our key areas, and then we go find those standards to see how we measure up. But I can share the link that Laurel sent.
I would say that we should also look at the equality indicators to
what I was gonna say.
inform, like, maybe how we get to the 3 to 5.
Well, I was gonna say maybe what we could do, because there's the really classic things you think of when you think about public safety related to like, you know, like crime and like, what kind of criteria we're meeting, whether it's like has to do with like staffing or like, you know, like in a very traditional public safety lens. And then I am thinking about when you think more broadly per Sarah's point earlier about, you know, is it safety when it comes to accessing, I don't know, healthcare, housing, like all these other
Right.
concepts. That's where I do think more of the equality indicators or neighborhood conditions index. So maybe there's like kind of, I just am hearing like kind of two tracks of traditional concepts with public safety, like police, fire, right, compared to more related to kind of socioeconomic safety maybe. And so maybe there's like a two-track kind of way we look at it to determine if
But
it's
I think we
criteria.
already have indicators that we've
Yeah.
been monitoring to inform policy, so
Yeah.
like the conditions index, the equality indicators,
But yeah, I
Right, so we
think
could use
cer-
those.
national certifications that we already achieved.
really establishing those, that also helps you align any program outcomes, it helps you align your data collections. All those things are huge things to do, and so if we're too scattered, you're not gonna be able to do it. So really honing in on that,
And like measuring outcomes.
I think would be helpful.
Okay.
Well, and I think too, if I may, that would work across all the aspects that we're talking about as well.
That's interesting, especially if we could find data points that are good proxies for like a broad array of them, so that way it's, I don't know, we're like getting kind of a more encompassing look.
I have one more question. So, on the children, youth, and families, before the end of last fiscal, we moved 110,000 to kind of exceed the start, and then in this budget year, we have 275, is that correct?
Yes.
So the all-in
Yes,
and
maybe 115, 275, but yeah.
115 plus 275? Okay, so all in right now, we're at three,
For which one?
Children.
just the, I'm trying to wrap my head around the initial investment we've done. So there was a 115, like, springish
Yeah,
launch
well, probably in March or April.
of last year, and then at budget time, we appropriated 275 for the year.
Right.
So all in right now, we've invested 390 on the launch. And so I just wanted to remind myself that's what we have committed to doing at this point. Because as we know, some of the other conversations that are ongoing is, you know, to what level are we gonna provide more funding and things. So I just, right now, we're at 390. And there was some sort of talk about some matching dollars or private funding, and that's what came up a few weeks ago from Counselor Gilbert. I think we saw 70 or 90 plus in-kind technical assistance, but I really want to keep monitoring what the investments are compared to what
Outcomes.
outcomes are and what folks want it to be or think it needs to be. I know I'm getting a lot of calls right now from people who are on the front lines of this, thinking that the city is going to get to a place where a lot more money is going to be coming to them, and I just want to really level set and set expectations for what we're doing right now. And
Did we hear what the outcomes were of the 115? Or is that just
Staffing
really
and-
startup costs?
well, we've got the advisory
It's
group
just,
and the,
and we haven't even gone through that with the advisory group.
Okay.
Counselor Hall Harper, you're on that as well, but that hasn't been discussed in our meetings, any financing,
Yeah.
so,
We're focusing on initiatives and areas of
right.
strategic planning.
So it is
for the
startup.
program.
I think it was to develop the work, from what I understand, I don't go to those meetings, but it was to develop the work plan, and then I know they have different, I'm gonna call them work groups, but I think they call them something else. Action.
circles.
Alliances.
Action
It's alliterative.
alliances.
There we go.
That they work in key, so I think it was to set up that structure, was that first investment.
We're at time for this section, so.
Oh, thank you, Counselor Bellis. We're at time for this section.
I didn't even have the times on my agenda.
They're on the page.
On the laminated
If you recall
document.
the page protector.
Okay.
Do I need to go
We take a
downstairs and
break
get the
at
timer?
9:55.
Yeah,
Okay,
great.
item number 3, dealing with Animal Services Working Group. So this is Dunn, Bellis, Gilbert, and Bingle.
I
Who's
wrote
taking
that
the lead?
list.
I'm kicking off, but then I don't have to. Then we really have, Sherry and Colton at least saying the wealth of expert
We have
information.
15 minutes for this.
Yep. I'll open up with the most important thing, which is that Counselor Bengals a cat person on the record. Okay, next. Okay.
Exactly.
So, As we've previously, I'll give a second for the slides to pop up real quick. Or actually, I could just start, whatever. I want to make sure we get straight to the info. All right, so earlier this year, this working group, we, came to the table and shared our goals of what we would be working on, which includes, of course, one, the Progress for Pause campaign to fundraise and secure funding for additional and important amenities for the new shelter. Two, collaborating with the Animal Welfare Commission to develop policy recommendations and pursuing those. And then three, to collaborate with the Animal Services team to develop a staffing and budget proposal for the new shelter, which is what we're largely here to talk about today.
Yeah.
Pass it over to Councilor Gilbert.
Absolutely. Before we get started, I'll be doing a quick overview of what we'll be covering in this presentation. One, we will walk through the core objectives for the new facility, then take a closer look at the latest animal service data, and finally, present a proposed staffing plan and budget recommendations. And I will hand it over to our wonderful director of animal welfare.
I think we're still looking for the slide deck, so I'll go ahead and start while we're finding that. Start with new shelter goals, and I just want to express our deepest gratitude for you all, for your support, continuing to prioritize us at Animal Services. We appreciate that, your dedication and your leadership, so thank you very much for that. We also want to acknowledge the staffing increases over the last few years and no reductions in staff for 2026, and adding that part-time vet with contract has really been beneficial. She just started, and we're seeing a difference of animals coming out of the facility and not having the long wait times for spay neuter when animals are adopted to get them out. We worked really hard with the resources that we've had available to us, and we've accomplished many things, and we want to kind of talk about what our goals are for the new shelter. Some of those: improving animal well-being, retaining our talented staff that we've recruited, worked very hard to recruit over the last, especially 3 years, and then meeting expectations from the public. So goal number one is animal well-being. The new facility enhances the ability to manage public health and safety concerns. Whenever we have to close for significant reasons, disease, whatever the case may be, it really hinders us in providing services to the public. We have to euthanize more animals that are sick, and it impacts our ability to secure our transfer partners to get animals out of here to different states. And just as important, this shelter was designed with animal well-being in mind. So we have a modern approach, additional space, outdoor areas for exercise and enrichment, more kennels than we have now, and then we have expanded veterinary clinic and surgery clinic options now. Goal number two, we want to keep the talented team that we have created, and with sustainability. So we will have a better working environment for our staff at the new facility, much better than the old one. Our team is doing just incredible work under stressful conditions and multiple animals in the facility every day. Very challenging. And we've been understaffed for a few years, so we continue to strive to work on that. And again, we appreciate you all and your support for that, your leadership. Our current staffing levels are below recommended standards, national standards. And our kennel workers are caring for about 4 times the number of animals that national standards suggest that they do. Without enough vet staff, we can't offer more community spay-neuter events and services, and animals taking up space in the shelter because they're waiting to go home, which the part-time vet has kind of helped with that, assisted in getting animals out faster. But with the bigger facility, more kennels and more animals coming into the new facility, we'll definitely have to address those issues as we move forward. Goal number 3, public safety and expectations. It's very important for us that we're serving our community. We're trying to do that the best of our ability of what we have right now. And moving forward, we're looking at protecting residents from at-large dogs, providing more services to the public than we are currently, and increasing our live release rates. So when we talk about protecting residents from at-large dogs, public safety is one of our top priorities, and I know it's also the city's. Our new facility and additional staff will give us more space and more resources to respond more quickly and effectively. Our numbers are trending upward. In 2024, we had a 6% increase in stray intakes compared to 2023, and we are projecting 19% increase in 2025 over 2023 for stray intakes. So to help address this, we've made some policy changes in our intake process and for citizen surrender, and we are implementing more targeted, proactive patrols in certain areas of our city for the challenging number of animals that are coming out of there. We have been consistently over capacity for multiple months and years. I think our last report card last week, we were at 130%, regularly operating beyond what the facility is designed for currently. So this does put the stress on our staff and animals, limits our ability to take in new animals and respond quickly to public safety concerns. So if we can staff the new shelter properly, it's going to ease capacity issues, give us more space to take in stray animals, stray dogs especially, and it's going to give us time to get dogs that are adopted out of the facility so that we don't have to decide other outcomes for them. Providing more services. We're also seeing significant rise in other services like owner-surrendered animals. So in 2024, our owner-surrendered animals increased by 40% compared to 2023. Leading causes of surrender: cost of food, veterinary care, financial burdens, also housing issues. People are moving, breed restrictions in apartment complexes. Not only is there a deposit for apartments now, there's also a monthly fee. So we're definitely seeing the impact of that at the shelter for people that are living in apartment communities. We have made some policy changes that are pretty important with the reasons behind surrender and offering resources to try and help people keep their pets in their home so that we don't get them in the facility. And timing intake appointments based on our capacity at the shelter. And obviously emergency situations that people have that are coming in. So we really have to be diligent about making those decisions so that we're not just packing in more animals than we already have. So we go to our live release rate. I'm sure you've heard the term no-kill shelter, which is equivalent to 90% live release rate. Our public expectations around municipal approaches to animal services have kind of shifted over the years. So we are in a current facility that was really made for capture loose animals and euthanizing, and that is not where we are today. Our residents expect and demand that the city house, rehabilitate, and adopt our animals, using humane euthanasia only for health and behavior issues. And industry standard for the expectations is the 90% live release rate. So in the last 3 years, we've gone from 66% to now trending 78% today, which is a significant increase. And our staff, our team is just trying their best to keep on increasing those rates to release as many healthy animals as we can to the appropriate families and to other cities and states so that we can save those lives. So we'll get into the data. I'm going to let Colton Jones explain some of those statistics for you.
We've kind of talked through the goals. We want to take a little bit of a look at the data behind our operations. These numbers help tell the full story of the progress we've made, where we're stretched thin. and where we've identified opportunities to improve outcomes for both animals and the community. So using 2023 as our baseline, just to illustrate the progress we've made, first want to say in 2023 we had 7,200 animals enter the facility. In 2024, 8,500, so that was an 18% increase. And projections this year will be above 9,000 animals, so that is that's total increase for 2025 projected at a 26% rise. However, in light of those circumstances, we have still been able to do what Sherry just mentioned, from 66% to 73% in 2024 to now trending at 78% 2025 year-to-date for our live release rate. That includes numerous internal policy changes, fully leveraged our community partnerships, but we're still working to reach that kind of industry standard of 90%. The adoption rate has increased by 43% in 2023 to 2024, streamlining that process, expanding our social media presence, especially with the help of some of the Friends of Task, to highlight adoptable and at-risk animals. For 2025, we're projecting about a 51% increase as above to where we were in 2023.
And I just have to give a shout out to our communications department, who have really worked with us over the last several years to increase and boost our social media. They've been amazing to partner with and get that information out to the public and increased our followers. So without that, and the success of what we've established with them and the partnership, there's no way that the increase in adoption rates would have gone up.
So, likewise, the reduction in euthanasia rate in 2024 dropped by 9% as opposed to 2023. Projected this year around a 22% reduction for 2025. Biggest things there are really promoting at-risk animals. We have done significant work enhancing our shelter diversion strategies and a lot of effort into increasing our transfer to rescue organizations, both in-state and out-of-state. But we've maxed out those transfer partnerships, increasing our transfer rate by 11% in 2024, and so far we're up 21% for 2025 as opposed to 2023.
And I just want to ping off of what Cole said about those transfer opportunities. So being the facility we're in right now with really no proper HVAC system, no proper quarantine areas, that is huge. That's so successful for us to be able to maintain the health of animals, to get them transferred out of here into different states. The new facility is really going to change that concept. It's going to be much easier for us to do those things. So I just wanted to make sure that you all are aware that it's just a significant impact from going to this old facility to the new facility to be able to enhance those services and make sure we're getting animals, healthy animals out of here. So our staffing plan and budget recommendations, the numbers show what's possible with our strong teamwork, smart policy, and committed partners. It also shows the limits of what we can do without unleashing additional space and staffing. So without staffing and space, it's going to be very difficult for us to move forward with expectations of the community for our animals. So our current facility is 16,000 square feet. We're moving to 24,000 square feet. Total kennel space increased approximately 240 kennels to 374. Current facility is the equivalent of about 8 dog pods with 162 dog kennels, 1 cat pod, and 76 cat kennels. The new facility will have 11 dog pods, 234 kennels, 2 cat pods with 140 kennels. Each individual kennel will be about twice the size of what we have now. It's about 4 by 7, which is a standard. We're managing the current shelter with 45 team members, stretched pretty thin to date. We're managing to open all the kennel space in the new shelter, we're gonna need about 54 employees. With 45 employees, we probably will not be able to open 3 dog pods and 1 cat pod, and would not be able to manage the space and the needs of the animals with the current number of employees that we have. So our budget recommendations. We're recommending in FY '27, proposing 4 additional kennel workers. That would bring our total from 8 to 12. Working 2 shifts split, so only half are there at any given time. Even with the increase, we'd still be operating with a lean team. 1 additional vet and vet assistant to provide additional animals care that we expect to take in, increased with the larger facility, to help continue to increase our live release rates, and then to also get those animals out of the facility for spay-neuter surgeries and to go home. We are proposing 1 additional office assistant. In a 5-month period, we got 28,000 calls that were recorded for our facility. 1 dispatcher has trouble keeping up. It's also a safety concern for us when we're talking to ACOs that are out in the field responding to calls. Not answering phones is the #1 complaint that we get at the facility. We are proposing 2 additional ACOs. More animals will be coming in with a larger facility. They're already covering a large area, hard to manage with 200 square miles. We also hear from the community at every community event and any kind of community meeting that we attend that people want us to enforce spay-neuter. With the current ACO numbers that we have, that's just not feasible for us. ACOs are also versatile employees. They handle shelter intake. They are one of our only euthanasia certified individuals. They go out and talk to kids at school. They contact schools for lockdowns when dangerous dogs are in the area. They're now responding priority calls to schools and attempting to go to schools in the morning and when they release in the afternoons. This is very difficult with the number that we have. So it's extremely difficult to do all that with the staff we have, let alone adding more work with a larger animal services facility. In FY 2028, we would anticipate carrying forward the 2027 and building on the foundation. We would propose adding 2 ACOs, 4 adoption counselors. These positions would really increase our live release rates, and we improve placement, and we would hopefully reduce the animals coming back into the facility that weren't appropriate going out, because we didn't have those conversations that probably could have changed the outcome of the animal coming back. 1 office assistant, and then in FY 29, we round out our ACO team by including 2 more officers because they're so desperately needed. And I think these staffing recommendations, the adjustments, are definitely needed to open the new facility. It allows us to maintain clean, safe environments, have enrichment, care for the animals coming in, avoid the kind of burnout that leads to turnover. We don't want to lose those dedicated team members that we have really worked hard to recruit and retain, and allows for less gaps in service. And I will pass it back over to Councilor Gilbert.
All right, as we plan for the transition to the new shelter, there is an additional budget consideration we want to highlight, the potential continued use of the current facility. There are 3 main reasons this may be necessary. First, the existing incinerator cannot be relocated to the new facility. We will need to maintain access to the current site to continue that function. Second, the current facility may serve as a quarantine space for emergency intakes and transfers. This would give flexibility during high-volume periods in response to public health concerns and during storms or other emergency situations. The space could also host large spay-neuter clinics, but the city would not staff the facility. A community partner could lead it. And third, the current facility has large storage containers that there isn't enough room for at the new facility because of the small footprint. The current shelter does need a new roof at a cost of about $500,000, but the annual maintenance costs mainly involve unclogging drains and fixing kennels. We've learned that there's quite a few tennis balls stuck in the drains.
All the cats.
So cost over the past 10 years, sorry, I had to put some humor in there because we were getting too serious. Cost over the past 10 years were estimated to be about $190,000 a year. These considerations don't change the overall direction, but they do require thoughtful planning and some additional investment.
What's the round number? Sorry, I missed it. Was it 500? That's a one-time?
You said 190?
No, the,
190
well,
per year.
the 500, it actually is going to be 690, because the current shelter needs a new roof at about 500, and then, cost over the past 10 years to unclog drains and fix, kennels were about 190.
So one-time cost, 690.
Yeah,
Ongoing cost of
would be 190.
annual.
Should be actually a little lower since it's not, the
Being
shelter
used as
wouldn't be
much.
full,
Unclogged
right?
equipment once.
But at least the
I got a
690
quick question.
upfront.
I'll turn it over because we have to.
Hold on, we're not done yet.
Yeah, keep going. Let's get everybody
Trying to get to the dollar.
So we'll close it out. I just want to tell you all, I thank you again for your support, your leadership, prioritizing the safety of our community, the well-being of our animals, the needs of our team members. We're grateful for your partnership as we move forward. The progress we've made so far is a direct result of your strong leadership, so we can't thank you enough. Our dedicated staff is another direct result of that, and we believe we can build a shelter system that truly reflects the values of Tulsa and the citizens and what they want, what they need, and what they expect from us, so thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna ask a quick question. So I know this isn't just continuing what we have done, because you're doing it in a different way, but do other shelters anywhere else in the country infuse $500,000 or $1 million in doing this massive spay and neutering program so that we don't have to continue to invest in animal control officers and additional space and additional kennels and adoption? Is there a strategy that works so that the dogs and cats can't reproduce, that we don't have as many to care for?
So I can tell you right now, we talked about this a little bit in the working group. The way we're facilitating larger spay-neuter clinics and where we see a need from heat maps or requests from like the neighborhood NCI meetings, we did some surveys to see who would benefit from those services. But literally, we utilize our partners because they have resources we may not have. We take those mobile units out into the community and we provide spay-neuter services. So you could get maybe 50 to 75 a day. But you're literally taking resources from already existing places that are doing those things anyway. So you're really just kind of moving pieces around the city. Yes, the answer to your question is yes, there are cities and animal services places that have spent dollars to have large spay-neuter clinics, and that would be something we want to do in the future, but not taking the current resources from our partners and to bring
That's an
in.
important element. What if we found $500,000 new dollars from any source?
Yes.
Private or public?
Yes.
Would that make a significant effect
We think it
on
would.
what you end up seeing
Yes.
coming into our clinics?
I think, yes, we think it would, because we could bring outside resources in to facilitate those things.
Yep.
So it's a brand-new mobile concept of not, utilizing the current resources we have, not pulling a vet out of the shelter, not asking a vet from SPCA, the Humane Society, to come in and take resources from their already daily work. We would want to bring that outside into Tulsa.
If there's any stats on that, if you invest X hundreds of thousands of dollars for spay and neutering efforts, how much does it reduce whatever you end up with at the shelter? That would be
Okay.
ideal to know.
Yeah,
on
we
a
can try to
per
get
capita
some.
basis or something like that. I don't really know how to analyze it, but I would just like to see what the outcomes are
And just-
from that kind of investment, because I
just-
don't know how it details.
Yeah, just for informational purposes too, the cost amount of, if you had those services done, not at a mobile clinic or a low-cost clinic, you're probably looking at $400, $500, $600. And what we have dedicated, the things that we have done, and the estimates we have done with our partners, we can do it for about $99. And that is spay, neuter, vaccinations, microchip, rabies, leash, collar, everything.
Yeah. Well, if you ever get any data, please send it. my
We
way.
have some
Others-
now, and we can get more.
Okay, okay. Anthony Carroll.
Okay, thank you for your hard work and this presentation. I had a question about on the budget recommendations page. Just to clarify, we have a vet that's on half-time. For the 27 budget, there was a recommendation for a veterinarian at a certain salary. Does that represent bringing that vet on full-time or adding an additional individual at that facility?
It was full-time, so
Okay.
for the new facility and the size and the amount of animals coming in, we would recommend 2.5 veterinarians.
Okay, so 2.5 veterinarians. And then a newbie question. So of the 9,000 that are projected to come into the facility, all those animals are coming from Tulsa, or are there folks from surrounding communities that are bringing
No,
folks in?
we actually turn you away if you are from
Okay.
the surrounding community.
Okay.
It doesn't mean there's not dumping.
Right.
Or also animals don't recognize municipal boundaries. but-
Exactly.
Allegedly.
But we don't take, we do not take owner surrendered animals from outside of the city of Tulsa. Now, stray animals, if they happen to come into our jurisdiction and we catch them on our side, then yes, they do come in.
Councilor Bush?
Remind me, do we have to staff it 24/7? Do you have 9 people that have to stay there?
We don't have the shelter staff 24/7. We do have ACOs that are on a standby rotation schedule, so they are able to respond to high priority calls 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
And that includes our on-call veterinary supervisor and veterinarian if we have emergencies coming in.
Okay. Is the national standard to be 24/7, or, are we not 24/7 because we're understaffed, I guess is what I'm asking? Or is there a need to be 24/7?
We have actually reached out to larger partners and other facilities to get recommendations. And we have discussed doing like a day and a night shift before, but we don't currently and haven't proposed projections yet for the new facility to do that. But yes, it does happen.
Okay. And then the second question, what is the return rate? You said the ones that,
Roughly about 10%.
10%. Okay, so it's not too bad.
And so it's not horrible, but what happens is animals will leave the facility because everybody kind of comes in and you shop with your eyes.
Yep.
You adopt with your eyes first. And whenever we try to have a conversation with you about, hey, this dog's going to be hyper, this breed is hyper,
Right.
they're going to require a lot of time, effort, and attention, people don't hear that.
No.
And they also don't, we give them an entire bag that has a whole lot of information. And we try to hit the high points, but whenever we've got 20 people standing in our lobby all waiting to adopt, and I've got 2 front desk people that are just trying to get through the paperwork as quickly as they can, we don't have the time to have the conversation with you of, hey, by the way, when you take this animal home, it needs to stay secluded for 3 days.
Yeah.
For 3 weeks, it's trying to learn its new environment. It doesn't feel at home for 3 months. So don't just go home, take your 3 or 4 animals, whatever you have at home, and dump your new dog into it and expect everybody that's just gonna go,
Yeah.
oh, hey, look, a new friend to play with. It does not work like that in animals.
And that's why that's significance of the adoption counselors.
Yeah, we're gonna be with you, but you're right.
Blended family, boom.
Come on, everybody love.
Okay, we have 3 minutes.
Sorry.
Councilor Dr. Wright?
Yes, thank you. Just mathing over here. So fiscal year 27, 28, 29 is getting us to the 1.8 that we kind of talked about. Just wanted to break that out. And then additional budget consideration, current use of the facility, which is one slide forward, I think. 690 one-time cost, 190 annual. This is outside the 3 million that is this Friends of Tulsa Services that is in a kind of close the gap on nice to haves at the facility. Yes, which are also one-time expenses, or maybe ongoing as the fundraising continues.
We would hope that the 190 that was over the 10-year period would be a significant decrease yearly because we wouldn't have animals full-time in the facility.
Okay, can we get a better number at some point where we think that is? But that would be funded out of general fund, not philanthropic donor dollars in this other fund.
I don't know.
Operations.
Yeah.
I think it could be both.
Okay, I'm just trying to get a sense of dollars. And then for those of us who are here for IoT 3, the keeping the facility open, was that something we discussed with dollars?
We discussed it. I don't think
I-
we discussed dollars.
I think there was a question, like what we would do with
With the
it.
building,
And at
yeah.
the time, the IoT 3 package was crafted as if that would be surplus or closed down.
That's
Like,
what I
this is
would
the first
call
time I'm hearing that the incinerator and things can't move, so. Red flag on the play. Is what I'm gonna say to that. Okay, thank you.
it. Okay, Councilor Dutton?
I just have a short question. When the new facility was approved, was there initial consideration about staffing and the cost of staffing?
So a new facility was already in design whenever both Sherry and I came in.
I
So
think it was
any-
on a 10-year plan as of date.
We've been doing this for a long time, so.
Right. Well, I just wondered if there was this initial cost associated with the new shelter for the staffing and the vet care and.
So I've only been here 7 years,
Yeah.
and there's people who've been here longer. 3 years ago, they didn't even have like an x-ray machine over at the current facility.
Right.
And the vet was part-time.
We had a full-time vet, but then we had a little lag period
Right.
of no vets. And we
Right.
had to
So,
contract.
I think the city has known staffing has been a challenge and equipment and all the things. As we went through the IoT 3 process, we were very focused in on the capital side. So I don't remember when we were talking about like building a facility, also having a parallel discussion about what the staffing would look like.
Yeah.
My recollection is the first time we really kind of honed in on what that like on-ramp was gonna look like was last budget. Although they have been asking for positions just in the current facility, but when we really like looked at like how do we get to opening a new facility, that conversation happened last year.
Right, I knew that conversation had happened last year, but it just seems delayed in the fact that we wanted this new facility and we funded the new facility. And there wasn't that conversation initially about how we're gonna budget for all the needs, so that's it, that's all. Thank you.
Do you have anybody else?
Oh.
No, but
I just want to say thank you to the working
Sure.
group. I was on it before, and you all continue to do the work with Sherry and Colton and also the commissioners. And I know it's one of the most passionate topics of discussion amongst the constituency.
Yep.
And Tulsa loves their animals, and, you know, there's some upstream solutions that we really need our state and federal partners to look at, especially at the state level. So as we continue to your point, Counselor, like how much investment do we have to get to, right? We need the state to come through with some of these things that we've been asking for a long time. And maybe the way we do it, because I know the rural urban thing happens, is we restrict it to municipalities of greater than 400,000 residents. So it really impacts the urban areas where we have a different situation than how our more suburban and rural communities.
yeah.
handle their pets.
What have you asked from the state? What,
Some of this puppy mill stuff and selling pets from retail establishments. I mean, there's just been some things that impact how animals show up in our community.
okay, so we were not asking the state for money.
No, just some
Policy
policy change.
Regulations, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
That's what I said.
I don't believe there was a monetary ask, it was just policy.
The policy.
Yeah.
But we could.
But seriously, if there's a disruptive element of this cycle that we're in, where we're going to continue to do things similar to the way that we've been doing
Yeah.
it, not the same way, because obviously we're doing stuff differently at this new shelter compared to the previous shelter. But if spay and neutering really does provide a very high return on the number, it decreases the number of cats and dogs that we're going to have in. Why wouldn't we figure out a way to do that? Like just inject a whole bunch of money into this problem so that we
It's an-
don't have an ongoing
Yeah,
problem.
it's an upfront that you can then sunset later, totally.
Okay,
It's cost
Counselor
saving.
Gilbert, bring us home.
Yeah, so I just want to give a big thank you to Megan and Marissa because they lead us in our working group and they always put together such wonderful agendas, well thought out, and they take great notes and they put up with all of our
And rain y'all.
all of our jokes and shenanigans.